Good evening. Tonight we examine a question that increasingly shapes world politics. Why do Russia and China no longer fear the West? For decades after the Cold War, the United States and its European allies were the undisputed center of global power. Their military strength, economic weight, and political influence made them the dominant force in international affairs. But today, Moscow and Beijing openly challenge the West, and they are doing so with growing confidence. So what changed? The West is divided. The first reason is simple. The West no longer looks united. The United States is deeply polarized at home. Elections are disputed. Institutions are questioned. Political energy is consumed by internal battles instead of global leadership. Europe, meanwhile, is struggling with its own fractures over immigration, energy, defense spending, and relations with Russia and China. Governments rise and fall quickly. Voters are turning to nationalist and populist movements that reject international cooperation. To Moscow and Beijing, this looks like strategic weakness. Russia and China understand a basic rule of power. A divided opponent is easier to defeat than a strong one. When Western governments argue with each other, delay decisions, or block joint action, their threats lose credibility. Western power looks uncertain. The second reason is that Western power no longer feels overwhelming. The United States remains the strongest military in the world, but its recent record has damaged its authority. The long wars in Afghanistan and Iraq ended without clear victories. The chaotic withdrawal from Kabul in 2021 was watched closely in Moscow and Beijing. It suggested not strength, but exhaustion. China concluded that America no longer wants to fight costly wars far from home. Russia concluded that NATO does not like risk. That calculation matters. When Russia invaded Ukraine, it expected sanctions, but it also expected that NATO would avoid direct military confrontation. That assessment proved correct. From Beijing's perspective, the same logic applies to Taiwan. Economic leverage has shifted. The third reason is economic. The West once controlled the global economy. Today, that dominance is shrinking. China is now the largest trading partner for more than 120 countries. It controls critical supply chains, from rare earth minerals to manufacturing hubs. Russia, meanwhile, controls energy resources that Europe still struggles to replace. This means that when the West imposes sanctions, Russia and China can soften the impact by trading with each other and with the global South. In other words, they are no longer economically isolated. The Western model of punishment, using banks, dollars, and trade access, is losing its bite. The information war is being won elsewhere. Russia and China also see something else. The West is losing control of the global narrative. Social media, state-run news outlets, and online propaganda allow them to spread messages that undermine Western credibility. They portray the United States as hypocritical, Europe as weak, and democracy as chaotic. And in much of Africa, Latin America, and Asia, those messages are gaining traction. Many countries now believe the world should no longer be run by Washington and Brussels. That ideological shift gives Moscow and Beijing political space to act more aggressively. They believe time is on their side. Finally, Russia and China believe history is moving in their favor. They see Western societies aging, divided, and inward-looking. They see debt, cultural conflict, and political paralysis. They see their own systems, centralized, disciplined, and long-term focused, as more stable for competition. Whether that belief is true or not, it drives their behavior. They are willing to wait, they are willing to test, and they are willing to take risks the West avoids. Conclusion. So why do Russia and China not fear the West? Because they see a coalition that is powerful but unsure, rich but divided, armed but hesitant. They do not believe the West is ready to use its strength or to sacrifice to defend the global order it built. That perception, more than any missile or tank, is what makes this moment dangerous. Because when rivals stop fearing you, they start challenging you. And that challenge is already underway.